Imagine being alone on a dirt road, guided only by the pale light of the moon, when suddenly the furious sound of galloping hooves breaks the silence. But there's no rider. What appears before you is a shadowy creature, wrapped in flames, headless, spitting fire from its neck. Some would say it's nothing but superstition, an old tale meant to scare children or control past traditions. But is that really all it is? The Headless Mule is one of the most terrifying figures in Brazilian folklore. More than just a legend, she carries the weight of guilt, fear, and punishment, and even today there are those who swear they've heard, or even seen, her blazing gallop tearing through the night. Behind this myth lie secrets that reveal not only the darker side of popular imagination, but also the deep-rooted beliefs and taboos of our culture. So get ready, because tonight we step into one of Brazil's most chilling mysteries. The Headless Mule isn't just a frightening tale invented to impress the young. She's a reflection of how Brazilian folklore intertwines with beliefs, fears, and values across different times. Her origins go back to a Brazil deeply shaped by Catholicism and oral traditions, where indigenous African and European heritages blended together. Out of this cultural melting pot were born legendary figures that survived through centuries, passed down from generation to generation. The legend of the Headless Mule carries a heavy moral and religious weight. In many versions, she is said to be the punishment for women who became involved with priests a forbidden relationship that defied the strict dogmas of the church. Cursed, the woman would transform into a beast, doomed to wander the nights from Thursday to Friday, spitting fire and spreading terror along empty roads. The tale wasn't just meant to scare, it worked as a warning, using fear as a tool to reinforce faith and control behavior. But religion isn't the only place where the Headless Mule found power. In rural life, where nights were long, silent, and full of mystery, any strange sound could feel like a sign. The pounding of hooves, for example, could easily be taken as something supernatural. And it was in this world of darkness and uncertainty that the legend found fertile ground to grow. More than just a horror story, the Headless Mule is a mirror of the Brazilian collective imagination, a reflection of how people faced their fears, their guilt, and their forbidden desires. Each region of the country added its own elements to the myth. In some, she appears with iron reins. In others, her flames light up entire stretches of road, but always with the same purpose: to inspire respect, fear, and curiosity. Even today, the legend lives in old stories, in tales told around the fire, and in modern adaptations of pop culture. But the question remains, is it all just invention? Or is there something real behind this blazing figure that still haunts the Brazilian night? Night falls. Silence takes over the dusty roads, broken only by the distant song of crickets and the whisper of trees swaying in the wind. For those who dare to cross lonely paths in the dead of night, from Thursday into Friday, there's always a risk. They say that's when she appears, the Headless Mule, cursed, doomed to wander forever, spitting fire and spreading terror. According to the legend, her transformation is inevitable. The woman who commits the sin of lying with a priest bears the fate of becoming the creature. At midnight, her body twists in agony, bones contorting, until her head simply vanishes, replaced by flames that burn endlessly. In place of a voice comes a piercing neigh, sharp enough to freeze even the bravest traveler in fear. Descriptions vary from region to region. In some tales, she appears like an ordinary horse, but cloaked in fire, with iron reins clinking through the darkness. In others, her flames blaze so intensely they light up the roads for miles, warning of her presence long before the pounding of hooves can be heard. Always wild, always unstoppable. They say when the mule passes, the stench of sulphur fills the air. Her gallop shakes the ground, and no fence or door can stand in her way. Animals hide, dogs howl, even the night birds fall silent. Anyone who dares face her risks madness, burned either by the fire in her neck or by the fury of the curse itself. But not all hope is lost. Folklore also speaks of ways to fight her off. Falling to your knees and praying without lifting your head might save the unlucky soul who crosses her path. Others believe that binding her reins with blessed needles or dog-esque teeth can briefly break the curse, revealing the woman beneath the monstrous form, yet to free her forever. That's nearly impossible. Only absolution from the church, along with a secret ritual, could ever undo the mule's fate. The most unsettling part is that the stories aren't just from the past. Many people, especially in rural communities, swear they've heard the gallop on moonlit nights. Some claim to have seen a blazing figure racing across fields and forests always too fast to follow, but fierce enough to scorch the earth with fiery tracks. There are even more modern versions of the legend, linking the mule to strange, unexplained events. Travelers who've seen glowing lights on deserted roads, or heard hooves pounding with no horse in sight, instantly recall her name. In some cases, mysterious accidents have been blamed on her gallop, and so the Headless Mule isn't just a tale of religious punishment. She's a symbol of collective fear before the unknown. She embodies the taboos, the hidden secrets of midnight, and the danger of defying spiritual and social rules. A chilling reminder that not everything can be explained and that there are forces, real or imagined, that choose to reveal themselves in darkness when we are most vulnerable. If up to this point the Headless Mule seems like nothing more than a tale meant to frighten, the reports that have survived through decades and even centuries reveal another layer of mystery. After all, why would so many different people in distant corners of Brazil describe the same blazing creature? In the countryside of Minas Gerais, farmers told of seeing, during harvest, a shadow racing across the fields, lighting everything around it with flames erupting from its neck. One even swore the heat was so intense it scorched part of the crops, as if the fire were real. And when neighbors ran to check, they found marks in the soil not of a common fire, but of hooves burned deep into the hardened earth. A traveler claimed that on a moonless night he heard furious hooves approaching. thinking it was a loose horse. He went out with a lantern to investigate. What he found, he said, was a headless figure spitting fire. The terror was so overwhelming that he fainted, later found hours after by locals, still in shock. To this day, he cannot speak of it without trembling. In Sao Paulo, some believe the legend has ties to accidents on rural roads. Drivers have reported strange lights crossing in front of them, always too fast to be mistaken for vehicles. Some lost control of their cars, while others swore the air suddenly grew hot, as if an invisible flame had passed right before them. Of course, skeptics argue that everything can be explained. The glow could be mistaken for distant bonfires, the pounding of hooves nothing more than echoes of common animals, and the sulphur smell a memory of old burnings. But then, how do we explain the accounts of people who never met yet described the same terrifying vision? Another curious detail is that the headless mule doesn't appear in just one form. In some stories, she is a warning galloping in circles, as if announcing tragedy. In others, she is aggressive, chasing anyone who dares to cross her path. There are even whispers of priests who, in secret, admitted to trying to exorcise the creature, proof that the myth was far more rooted than many wanted to believe. The most unsettling part is the sense that the mule isn't only a symbol of the past. Even today, in several communities, some still avoid leaving their homes from Thursday night into Friday. The fear persists, passed down like an invisible inheritance, as real as the flames said to follow her gallop. And this is where the mystery deepens. Is the headless mule nothing more than a tool once used to control behavior and spread fear? Or is there something beyond imagination, something that truly roams the midnight roads, crossing centuries and leaving behind traces no one dares to investigate? The question remains. Folklore blurs with testimony, and testimony challenges logic. And it is in this fragile line between reality and legend that the headless mule endures, blazing, terrifying, and inescapable. The headless mule is more than just a terrifying creature spitting fire into the night. She is a powerful reflection of how Brazilian folklore transforms fear and taboo into stories that endure through time. At its core, her blazing figure is also a mirror of the society that created her, a rural world marked by silence, guilt, and the heavy weight of religious rules. The curse that condemns a woman to an eternal gallop is not just a fablet, a symbolic way of passing down values, warnings, and even punishments through fear. But what makes this legend even more fascinating is its persistence. Even in the 21st century, with all our technology, there are still those who swear they've heard hooves echoing on empty dirt roads, or felt the air grow suddenly hot when the night falls too quiet. These accounts, whether explained by science, imagination, or something else, still stir the same unease our ancestors once felt around the fire. And maybe that's the true power of the headless mule, whether real or imagined. She survives because she touches something we all carry inside: the fear of the unknown, the weight of guilt, the pull of mystery. universal elements that span cultures and ages, but in Brazil found their most haunting shape in the fiery gallop of the mule. So when you hear distant hooves in the dead of night, maybe it's just a stray horse on the road. Maybe it's only the wind carrying echoes from the forest. But what if it isn't? What if it's the gallop of a creature cursed to wander for centuries, never finding rest? That fragile line between myth and reality, that's where the darkest secrets live. Here on Urban Secrets, we dive into these stories not just to frighten, but to reveal how human imagination is filled with enigmas that defy reason. And if you've stayed with me until now, it's because you share the same curiosity, the desire to go beyond the obvious and step into the mysteries we often avoid facing. So, before you leave this video, here's my invitation. If this journey into the legend of the Headless Mule stirred your imagination, leave a like to support the channel and show that you, too, enjoy exploring hidden secrets. And don't forget to subscribe to Urban Secrets so you won't miss the next stories, because there are many more legends, mysteries, and enigmas waiting to be uncovered. After all, who knows what creature might cross your path next?